Hello again, sir. Welcome. Today we'll be talking about how we can make the maximum profit for you in the most ethical way. Let's begin. Now, before we get into anything, I just want you to know that I'll be assuming you're a bull investor, and considering I'm your hedge fund manager, I also want to make money. So I would make you money, and I'd get a percentage. Now, we'll be talking about 7 types of investments here: bonds, ETFs, mutual funds, stocks, cryptocurrencies, elements, and even savings accounts. Now, this is so it can be diverse, but not overly diverse. That way, we don't have any useless or unrealistic types of investments. Now, we're going to be talking about 3 countries here. Let's start off with GDP. Canada has a $1.7 trillion GDP, and it is a little bit less than its peak in 2013, but overall, considering the coronavirus, it's still good. USA with about 32 trillion with the GDP. And Switzerland, our country, which represents Ethereum, one of our future investments we'll be learning about today, has about a 0.7 trillion US dollar GDP. COVID-19 will be the main factor to its falling and its rising. Now, let's talk about unemployment. For Canada, it's decreasing, USA is decreasing, and Switzerland is increasing. Now, that's the problem with cryptocurrencies here, is because Switzerland tends to be more volatile in most of its cases. Once again, COVID-19 would be the factor of that. Now let's talk about the stock market. Now, Canada has a fairly stable, rising stock market. Here you can see, obviously, with every single stock, COVID-19 would obviously have a big toll on that. USA being slightly more stable, and is also rising, and Switzerland being a more volatile one, as I previously mentioned. First thing, let's get into bond. Vanguard Long-Term Bond Index Fund. Now, this has risk to return ratio of 1.49 to 1 with a low expensive ratio of 0.05. Profit has still been made even with COVID-19. And it's also very diverse because it's half governmentally owned and half corporate owned. Sorry, sir, you have to bear with me. I can't seem to get rid of these messages. My sincere apologies, sir. Continuing off from where we were, it is very diverse. It's half governmentally owned and half corporately owned. And it has, out of the 2,669 bonds, it is in the top 2%. You see, sir, this is an excellent investment option, as there's loads of potential. And as you can see here, it's still maintained to have 10.39% increase in its return, even with the COVID-19 strike. Now, it's also very ethical, as it has generic ESG, which stands for Environmental, Social, and Governance in their Code of Ethics. As you can see, it's very ownable. I give it a personal rating of 9 out of 10. Now, the ETF Invesco QQQ Trust, NASDAQ QQQ, this has a risk return ratio of 1.2, is a little bit lower, but is a more safe option, although that's more bare. It has a rating A, which is highly rated, top 1% of its strand. It's second out of 325 different funds, and it's 5 out of 5 liquidity rating. And it actually owns non-financial NASDAQ stocks. So Apple, Microsoft, Nvidia, which, by the way, that one had the second highest annual return out of any major stock. Now, it is also very ethical, has its own statements committed to adopting and implementing responsible investment principles in a manner that is consistent with our fiduciary responsibilities to clients. As you can see here, even with the COVID strike, it still reached nearly 50% as an annual return. I give it a 9 out of 10 as well. Now, the mutual fund, Fidelity Advisor Growth Ops Z. This is a very, very well-known mutual fund, has no minimum investment, and risk return ratio is 1.5 to 1. Now, its expense ratio is very normal, unlike the others, 0.72, 0.75 being the most average. Last year's average return was an insane 64.60%, even with the COVID strike, and it was very close to its 69.25%. It's currently in the first quintile between 2015 and 2020, and the best 2021 brokerage, according to Investopedia, the most ethical as well since 2015, except of the year 2019. As you can see here, once again, sir, it's maintained its form. It's been pretty solid and not as volatile as we might think. I give it a personal rating of 10 out of 10. Let's get into the stocks. Sir, I've spoken about Tesla a multitude of times, and honestly, it's perfect in my opinion. It has an annual return of 62.6%. Nasdaq is actually 15.06%, so it's faster than its own company, let's say. And its risk return ratio is 4.2 to 1. It is also an option stock, which is excellent. And option stock, I will speak about it more in my infographic. But it also has a PE ratio of 1,677.16, which means it is also overvalued. However, that also means that it has loads of potential. Now, it's also very ethical. Like in Norway, for example, having a Tesla gives you free parking, access to HOV lanes, which kind of gives people the incentive to buy Teslas. And obviously, it's an electric car. It's very, very, extremely ethical. 10 out of 10 as well. Now, let's talk about cryptocurrency. As you can see here, 1 Ethereum equals 0.038 Bitcoin. Now, Ethereum is a cryptocurrency and has a risk-return ratio of 18.1. That may seem high. However, due to its insane potential and its volatility, it has to have a high rating. Now, its average annual return is an insane 2,383.2%. That means not necessarily every year you're going to make that much money, that much return. But in 2020, even with the COVID strike, it had 464.1% return. It is also related to Bitcoin. And you see, sir, the thing about cryptocurrency is it's related to each other all the time. So if Bitcoin were to go up, it would hit a fraction of that. They call that flipping. It has a PE ratio of 21.6, which is fairly normal. It means it is understandable, its pricing, not very overvalued. And it has short terms, ups and downs, which is high volatility. But in the long run, I think it's a very good investment. Currently, it stands at $1,213.10 US dollar for 1 Ethereum. I'd give it a 9.5 out of 10 rating. Now, let's look at element gold. Gold is the safe haven, they can call it. It's fairly self-explainable. Now, it has a risk-return ratio of 1.9 to 1 and an average annual return of 10.44. It is insanely traded at $145.5 billion a day just in trading. Now, Ethereum has something called Ethereum Gold Smart Contract, which is a mutual agreement through computer code. It means no third party. This is loads of potential in the future. Now, it is ethical and non-ethical, but you have to know who you can invest with. I suggest investing with Franco-Nevada because it is very ethical. It has no conspiracies, nothing. And you avoid Barrick Gold because it has a lot of what we call dirty gold with mining and considerations like that. I give it a 9 out of 10 rating. Now, in terms of savings account, yes, risk return ratio of 2.3, I give it for a saving account. Now, it has 0 monthly account fee. This NBKC Bank Everything account, compared to its other competitors, it has an excellent international trading, which is a huge thing for those who have a lot of money or those who just travel a lot. Now, basically, generally, savings account would make money off of you, but now you tend to kind of save your money. I give it a 9 out of 10 rating. So, what have we learned? We have a goal. We want to make money. How are we going to make it? With this hedge fund. Thank you very much, sir. More information on my infographic. Have a great day.